Sonic Super Special Issue 12. The title page has Sonic speaking with sideways text, forcing you to turn your head to read it. Although, if you actually had the physical copy of the comic, I'm sure you could just turn the comic, but that's not the point. Fortunately, while the rest of the comic is indeed turned sideways as a gimmick, it's the whole comic that's turned sideways and not the text, so it's fine. Sonic wakes up in front of Dr. Quack, Sally, and her father, and is asked if he has amnesia, and then our time is wasted by a pointless recap of stuff everyone already knows. Then, he says in surprise, questions? At seeing Knuckles, and then we see Knuckles wake up in front of Locke, Saber, and Julie, and Knuckles then wastes a bunch of our time pointlessly recapping stuff we already know. Then he gets surprised at seeing Sonic, and becomes Robotnik. Wait, the normal Robotnik? Or is he one from a different dimension? I'm hoping it's the latter. He tells somebody that he and another Robotnik could have simply slain Sonic and Knuckles, but then says that such an action wouldn't have befitted such enterprising souls as themselves. Translation, he's an idiot. Then Robotnik says that Dimitri and him deserve nothing short of having their two greatest enemies alive to witness their shared victory. Good luck winning then. Where did this Robotnik come from? What gave him the idea to come to Mobius Prime? And how to get in touch with Dimitri and get him to agree to work with him? Their spy drones discover that Sonic and Knuckles aren't immobilized anymore. And then it's revealed that the memories of Sonic and Knuckles have been swapped with each other rather than reversed like they originally intended. So that's why they hid the faces of them when they were spoken to, and why their friends thought they had amnesia. I really feel like we're missing a lot in this plot. Like, we really should have seen what led up to all of this. I don't see how a device specifically made for causing amnesia could possibly fail to do that so epically. Robotnik then says that with both of these heroes out of their element, destroying them would be more satisfying because they humiliate themselves. I like that he calls them self-proclaimed heroes, showing that he doesn't think of them as such. It's more realistic of him to think like that. Knowing the answer to Sonic's problem lies elsewhere, the Freedom Fighter Special, as in an airship called that, goes up into the skies away from Mobotropolis. Don't they mean Robotropolis? Sally says in confusion that while Sonic says that it's really him and Knuckles' body, that's not what Nicole is registering. Even Nate's monitor registers him as kidnapped. Are they registering him as a person by using his biometrics, like his fingerprints? Because if so, that would explain why they think he's Knuckles, but wouldn't Sonic have discovered Knuckles' mutation from taking off the gloves and reacted to it on screen? And that has to be the way they're determining his identity, because any more advanced way, and the technology would just tell them it's confused from detecting Sonic's memories and presumably personality in Knuckles' body. This is a really interesting concept, and because there's no voice acting, I don't have the problem that can make me hate this kind of plot, like a kid versus cat, where the two inexplicably switch voices as well to dumb it down for the audience. Then it turns out that the airship is being attacked by Robotnik swap bots, and Knuckles tells Antoine, who's piloting it, to head over to Interdimensional. Julie complains that shuttle was a quick ticket to Mobotropolis. Okay, so it's official. This issue chronologically happened before Mobotropolis was taken over again by Eggman, because why would they want to go there otherwise? Then Knuckles in Sonic's body points out that the Dark Legion is attacking, annoying me by calling them techno-zealots as if that's a bad thing. You're the zealot, Knuckles. Unfortunately, he isn't actually able to attack normally in Sonic's body since it doesn't have the same powers like gliding. The airship gets hit while Echidna Pulse is being attacked, and Knuckles notices a Freedom Fighter Special going down for the count. So Sonic and Knuckles were in separate airships? And also, how would Knuckles know what a Freedom Fighter Special looks like to the point of being able to call it by name? He's not a Freedom Fighter. Fortunately, Knuckles is able to run fast like Sonic using the super pilo in his body, and now they've finally met each other in their new bodies. Okay, so it's more like they saw themselves in the mirror when they woke up, and that's how they found out they switched bodies. That was confusing. Sonic remarks that his body is more good-looking than Knuckles', so that's showing his characteristic ego. But Knuckles, being the more serious type, realizes that now is not the good time to debate this, as they're under attack by Swapbots and Dark Legionnaires. I'm confused, they're obviously before Eggman's return, the whole Mobotropolis thing, but then why aren't they confused about Swapbots and asking if an alternate dimension Robotnik showed up right away? Echidna Pulse is back by this point, and I'm pretty sure it came back after issue 50. They see a holographic projection of Dimitri and Robotnik's heads taunting them, threatening to eliminate their friends and keep them trapped in their own bodies if they refuse to surrender. And so they do, causing them to be teleported away with Robotnik and Dimitri. Oh good, Sonic and Knuckles' body confirms that he saw Robotnik bite the dust, and finally starts questioning why Robotnik is here. Robotnik tells him that appearances can be deceiving. Great answer. And then Dimitri explains about them creating the Chaos Cannon, capable of turning anything it strikes into organic metal. That's overpowered. Wait, organic metal? Whether flora or fauna? How the fuck does that work? Metal on the inside or outside? It only requires the Master Chaos Emerald. At that point, you could just call it the Master Emerald, guys. I know it's hard because you've been messing up for years, but just cut your losses at this point. It's embarrassing. It's revealed that only they have the power to return their minds to the right bodies, and they use that to threaten the heroes into working for them to get them the Emerald. They agonize over their decision in front of the Emerald, unaware that they're being spied on with their close spy drones. Well, at least they care enough to actually explain the flying invisible cameras as close spy drones finally. Surprisingly, the spy drones stopped transmitting, and then Sonic and Knuckles seemed to bring them the Master Emerald, although I'm sure it's just a fake one they made to trick them. They'd never destroy the Great Forest. My question is, why do they need the Master Emerald to do this when they could have just dropped a nuke on it and be done with it? Of course, the Chaos Cannon breaks because it was a fake. Huh, the comics thought of this fake emerald in the destructive cannon concept before SC2 did. I don't like how Sonic and Knuckles' body is on the left part of this panel destroying robots because it means that I read his dialogue first, when I wasn't supposed to. This isn't a manga. Then it turns out that the moment they laid their hands on the Master Emerald, they were returned to their original bodies. I guess the Master Emerald is sentient and knew about their predicament from its favorite guardian not having the right soul or something. I could understand if Knuckles told it to do it, but not it doing it by itself. That's really convenient. And with that, the two defeat their arch enemies in a fight, where it turns out that this Robotnik was a robot double instead. Huh? So did Dimitri build him to full swap-outs into working for him? I mean, how did Dimitri even know Eggman existed? Then we go to the next story, where we see an alternate version of Sally wearing a really weird mask fly out of a lake that Sonic was sleeping in front of with his fishing rod, and talk to him in an airship. Since this is the only story in the issue that involves zone hopping, I fail to see why this story in particular isn't sideways when it falls under the gimmick of Sonic. Then Sonic confirms my suspicions about this Sally originating from her weird-looking mask by telling him that this is actually an evil incarnate straight from the Sentai Zone. Wait, Sentai Zone? I was looking forward to seeing Alicia again, but it turns out that there can actually be more than one evil twin of a person. And I really love this. It makes perfect sense. It'd be more ridiculous if there wasn't more than one evil twin of a person. Although that just raises the question of why Sonic only has one evil twin, as far as we know at least, when his personality makes much more sense to have turned out to be evil than Sally the Goody Two-Shoes. But Sally having multiple evil twins makes sense considering she's royalty, and royalty tends to be corrupt. Not to mention it's the exact opposite of a creator's pet moment because it's Sally who gets the raw deal for once. Then Sonic arbitrarily is incapable of warping the stupidly named Selector back to where she belongs because we need a plot around her. Then don't have him show up. It'd be more interesting if Sonic had gotten fooled by her. Also, I'm gonna assume Selector is just a stupid nickname because I don't see how she'd have a different name than the person she's supposed to be a parallel counterpart of. Then Sonic says that while he arbitrarily can't send her back, he can summon his mortal enemies, the really stupidly named Chaos Ninja Team, with stupid costumes. Granted, it's an alternate universe, so they have the creative freedom to do whatever they want, but this is probably part of why people laugh at the comic. I do love the concept of these guys being enemies with Sally into the universe, though. And of Amy, and I guess it's Knuckles, in a black costume being part of that group. But if Sonic can summon these guys, why can't he summon Selector back to her world? It's the same technology, doing the same thing. Sonic, after seeing that ridiculous sight, acts as the perfect audience surrogate by actually saying, "This whole zapping me to other zones and vice versa routine has really played itself out." I think it's interesting at least. Sonic complains that it's tough enough for him to keep an eye on one Princess Sally, let alone a million of her, or a million of anyone else's out there, and asks Sonic how he keeps track of it and why. That's a very good question. In fact, it really drives home how he really shouldn't be put in this role just because he's the Prime Sonic. He's just one person. Sonic simply says that he's got no choice because it's his sworn duty. That doesn't really answer the question. Why is it your sworn duty? Who founded the Zone Cops and came up with them anyways? Sonic then points out with relatable irritation, don't you ever feel like you're totally using others to get what you want? I'm really glad they had this pointed out. Sonic simply repeats stuff he's already said to him as a supposed answer, and then Sonic, after telling him he's sick of this, especially makes sense since he barely ever actually accomplishes anything with zone hopping anyways, is told that there's a zonal emergency where millions will perish without immediate aid. Naturally, this convinces Sonic in his good nature to come to the dimension, which is full of scared overlanders who are running during an earthquake. What the hell? A giant evil bunny? Pretty stupid looking too. Is she brainwashed? But if Robotnik were able to capture her to brainwash her, he would have just out-and-out roboticized her. What could he possibly have to gain from this? Maybe she had a lot of resentment in her for some reason and was made to go huge for like this by a failed experiment of her rotor. Maybe she became evil because her friends weren't treating her right, possibly for being a cyborg, or her parents sucked. No sooner after we saw another evil Sally, whose concept was immediately wasted, we see another evil bunny. Well, I'm happy to see Sonic fighting her. Then after he defeats her, we see a second good Robotnik. Dr. J. Kintobar, the ruler of Kintopolis. I'm glad there's a second one, provided this is true, because it makes more sense that Robotnik would turn out to not be insanely, inexplicably evil. But wait, how does he still have the title of Doctor if he's also the ruler of Kintopolis? He's not a doctor then. Of course, Sonic's immediately incensed at seeing him, doubting that there could be two good Robotniks. Dr. J tells him that he tried to halt the rabbit's rampage by infecting her with a virus, but the Colossi appeared to have built up an immunity to it. And he says that it used to be able to paralyze someone, like one that looks like Sonic's roboticized Uncle Chuck. Naturally, Sonic's furious and asks Dr. J how this happened, and explains to him that's all his fault. He had worked for many years trying to unlock the raw power of the Chaos Emerald, like Nate did. By splitting the fabled energy jewel, he and apparently some other people hoped to harness the forces of chaotomic energy. I've seen what happens when Emerald splits into the Triple Trouble special, and it involved a potential explosion. The first tests like this took place out at sea, far away from the populace, on Knothole Island. And he had never expected there to be any fallout, or that it could mutate any of the island's local wildlife. Did he not know there were people there? But yeah, that's interesting, it's an island here. And SBO and Vector were mutated into these horrible giant monsters with their brains presumably brainwashed to make them mindless monsters for some reason. But wait, if this version of Eggman is good, then who made Bunny a cyborg? In order to fight fire with fire, Dr. J had made some giant robots to beat the invaders. But the only force strong enough to power his automatons are the split halves of the Chaos Emerald, which still remain on Knothole Island, deep in the monsters' lair. Sonic gets an idea that he can power the giant robot by running in a giant hamster ball. He's pretty creative. Then we get a good moment where Sonic unhappily explains to him in brief that on his planet he's the worst being he ever met. I like how Dr. J reacts, being horrified and stuttering an apology, proving that he really is a good person. I guess Sonic was never around with Dr. Kintobar enough to show the same resentment and distrust of him. Sonic simply tells him to not be sorry because the actual Robotnik isn't, basically trying to put him at ease. And then they go to Knothole Island using Sonic's running, with Sonic thinking that his legs are starting to get tired. Really? Only a couple of minutes later? Doesn't he have infinite stamina for running, provided that he's not sleepy? He ran all over a planet twice, remember? Sonic then sees, much to his disappointment, that all of the freedom fighters of the zone had also turned into these monsters. Okay, well this zone's fucked. Pretty much no heroes left for it. Do they have to have a page be sideways? Sonic, still running on the conveyor belt to power a giant mech attacking, thinks about how he can't take much more of this, because not only is he tired, but fighting his best buds is too much for him to handle, looking sad about it. I like that he has this reaction, it's sympathetic of him. Then we see that even this zone's jewels and knuckles have become monsters, and half of the emerald has attached itself somehow to his body. Seeing the alternate jewels being defeated gives him the most anguish of all. And somehow, even the mindless monster version of Sonic is just as upset over this as he is. And then we kept the Sonic back at the city with Dr. J, so it can be assumed that they defeated all the monsters. But didn't we see the airship flying away right after Jules was defeated? Dr. J says that the city's first mechanized projector is now operational, and wishes to name the new creation after the hero that he somehow forgot to ask the name of. So is this version of Dr. J someone who never met this version of Sonic? Because you'd think that he would know Sonic's name. I guess this is a planet where there's no major villain to fight, so that Sonic of this world would become famous for fighting him. And it's just then when Sonic with green shades and a green emerald in his chest appears, right after Sonic and Sonic go back home. So are they in trouble now? Sonic, clearly in distress, asks Sonic how he'd know that he would be able to see through it all to the end, especially when he knew what he'd have to do to get the emerald. When Sonic insists he's sorry and knows exactly how he feels, Sonic tells him off that he's just a nameless, faceless snow cop. I'm glad that he has this reaction. And it turns out Sonic never actually told him that he was Sonic, because this gives him a moment to take off his helmet to reveal who he is, apologize to him, and Sonic wonders how he ever ended up with such a weird job. It was sweet to see Sonic show such compassion, made him sympathetic for once. The first story was written by Ken Penders and Carl Bollers, and has a kind of interesting plot about Sonic and Knuckles switching bodies, although I'm not sure how merely switching memories made them switch souls, come to think of it. I guess that's how it worked. But it was wasted because it only really came up with Knuckles failing to glide one time, and then realizing that he could run at Sonic's speed. Sonic didn't have to deal with anything, and after they were interestingly blackmailed into working for Dimitri and a robot double, they got their old bodies back and tricked them with a fake Master Emerald. I like how it worked out. But yeah, this idea had enough material to work for longer than just one story. And what was the point of giving this story the sideways gimmick when Sonic appears in the next one instead? The second story, by Dan Slott, had Sonic traveling to another dimension doing some more intriguing world building on what could have been alternate universe, but it was marred by two stupid feeling concepts. The wasted concept of the Sentai Freedom Fighters, who look really stupid, and not Whole Island having its people turned into mindless Godzillas, which was both depressing and stupid, but none of this was stupid in the actual sense where it's illogical. It just gave me a knee-jerk reaction, which I admit is irrational, because in a series about a 3-foot cartoon hedgehog, nothing's really too weird. And I gotta compliment the comic on introducing the concept that there can be more than one reverse morality counterpart, as the Sentai Freedom Fighters have an evil Sally as their enemy, and a city full of humans has a good Robotnik as their ruler. I really liked that. It makes perfect sense that Sally and Eggman would turn out differently from different lives. I just wish the Sentai Freedom Fighters actually had a story like I thought they would, rather than being anticlimactically sent away instantly, provided of course that they get new outfits. The plot as a whole was pretty depressing, from Sonic being unhappy about having to fight alternate versions of his friends, forever mutated into mindless monsters. But I did like the concept of how he powered Dr. J's mech through the friction of his running, and how those monsters were created from a split Chaos Emerald. Still though, I feel sorry for the zone, because with all of its heroes aside from Dr. J evil, that's it for them, they're screwed. There has to be some major villain here, because Bunny's still a cyborg, and Uncle Chuck's still a robot. Now I can understand that maybe they made Bunny a cyborg because beneficial cyborg legs, but Uncle Chuck wouldn't want to be roboticized, unless he got injured, and so he had to. Next up is issues 78 to 82